Welcome to Book Bites and our final installment of our Thanksgiving book. I'm Miss Melissa with the Oosterhout Free Library, and this is the end of Junie B., first grader, Turkeys We Have Loved and Eaten and Other Thankful Stuff by Barbara Park, published by Random House. Room 1 won the Thankful Contest, and the prize is a pumpkin pie. I'd be really excited about that, but Room 1 is not. Pumpkin pie makes them vomit. They're also not excited about some of the food coming to their Thanksgiving feast either. So let's see whether or not they have a happy Thanksgiving. Chapter 11, The Feast. May's mother was the last guest to come to our room for the feast. She was carrying 3 bags of food. I did a sniff. Something did not smell delicious. It was the stewed onions, I believe. Also, it was the beans and squash. My stomach did a flip-flop at those stinky smells. I took some deep breaths, tried to calm down. Here is a helpful hint. Deep breathing does not work that good when you are smelling stink. Finally, I said the word black, and I held my nose. Mr. Scarry snapped his fingers at me. That meant, please let go of your nose, I think. After all the guests were sitting down, Mr. Scarry said a welcome speech to them. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our feast, he said. Room 1 would like to thank you for bringing this delicious food to help us celebrate Thanksgiving. After that, he gave the children a nod, and all of us shouted, Thank you! A lot of rehearsing had gone into that. This is going to be a wonderful day, said Mr. Scarry, so please grab a plate and let's get started. We let our guests go first. That is some kind of guest rule, apparently. Room 1 lined up behind them. Only too bad for me, because someone took the lid off the stewy, pewy onions, and the smell almost knocked me down. My stomach felt sickish and rumbly. I hurried to the end of the food line. Mr. Scarry saw me go, but this time he did not get mad. Instead, he made an announcement to all the children. Children, today is a celebration of all the things we're thankful for. And since each of us is thankful for different kinds of foods, just take the food you love the most and enjoy every single bite. All of us did a breath of relief. I would have taken the stewed onions. I love onions, but everybody's different. Then things got even better, because Mr. Scarry walked over to the supply closet and he pulled out 1 more bag of food for our Thanksgiving feast. And its name was Nipsy Doodles, shouted Lenny. Mr. Scarry brought Nipsy Doodles. He ran to Mr. Scarry and did a high five. After that, we could not wait to get our plates of food. Remember, that's what Lenny put on the thankful list, was Nipsy Doodles. I think they're like Cheez-Its. It was the tastiest Thanksgiving dinner I even ever ate. I had turkey and carrot sticks and Nipsy Doodles and cranberry jelly. Herb had turkey and carrot sticks and 2 giant plops of applesauce. Lenny just had Nipsy Doodles, and that's all. Plus, also, he took 4 napkins. It will make my grandmother feel good, he said. Remember, his grandmother brought in the napkins. After we finished eating, all the children walked around the room, and we thanked our families for the food they brought. Thank you for your crunchy carrot sticks, I said to Herb's grandma. Thank you for your hugie biggie turkey, I said to Lucille's Richie Nana. Your napkins were delicious, I said to Lenny's grandmother. After that, I thanked Mother and Grandma Miller for the cranberry jelly. Then Grandpa Miller picked me up and he spun me around real happy. Frank would be fun in my real, actual class, I believe. After we got done with our thank yous, Mr. Scarry said he had 1 more happy surprise for us. Then he looked in the hallway and he did a nod. And guess who came in next? Mrs. Gutzman, I shouted. It's Mrs. Gladys Gutzman. Mrs. Gutzman is the bestest lunch lady in the whole entire world. I sprang out of my seat. Hello, Gladys Gutzman, it's me, Junie B. Jones. Mrs. Gutzman was holding 2 pie boxes in her hands. She put them down and waved at me. "Hello, Junie B. Jones. Hello, children," she said. "Congratulations on winning the Thankful contest." She took out a pumpkin pie and she held it up for everyone to see. "Boys and girls, I baked these pumpkin pies for you myself, and I used my own family recipe," she said. "These pies will melt in your mouth." Lenny looked at me and rolled his eyes. "Mine will be melting in the cleanup sink," he said. "Ditto," I said. Ditto is the grown-up word for mine will be melting in the cleanup sink, too. Herbert's face looked blackish and sickish. "I just want to get it over with," he said. Lenny nodded. "Let's do it," he said. "Let's hurry up and get our pie, and then we'll do a quick spit in the cleanup sink, and it'll all be over." Mrs. Gutzman started dishing out the pie. Me and Herb and Lenny took a deep breath, and we quick ran to the pie table, and we each grabbed a plate. Then we ran to the cleanup sink speedy fast. We looked at the pie, and we made sick faces. Then we took another deep breath, and ready, set, go. All of us shoved some pie in our mouths. After that, we stood there very still, and we let it just sit there. It felt cold and squishy. I smacked my lips a little bit. Then Herb and Lenny smacked their lips too. Then 1, 2, 3, gulp. We swallowed our pie at the exact same time. And wowie, wow, that stuff was delicious, I tell you. My head had confusion in it. "Wait, hold on. I don't get it," I said. "I hate pumpkin pie, but this pumpkin pie tastes delightful." Herbert smacked some more. "Yes," he said, "it does taste delightful." Lenny did not talk. He was busy licking his plate. After he finished, he looked up and smiled. "Mrs. Gutzman is magic," she said. Then all of us laughed really happy, because that is the answer. Mrs. Gladys Gutzman is magic. We hurried back to the pie table for seconds. "Thank you, Gladys, thank you," I said real loud. "This is the bestest first prize I ever ate." I ran over and I hugged her real happy. Mrs. Gutzman did a chuckle. Then she leaned down and she hugged me back and she said, "Don't call her Gladys." Chapter 12. Happy Turkey Day. After all the pie was gone, I threw my plate in Mr. Scarry's trash can. And oh dear, that's when I saw him. My elephant, Philip Johnny Bob, was still sitting on the desk with Police Sergeant Chuck, May's elephant. And I had forgotten all about that guy. I ran over and I picked him up and then I hugged him real tight. "Philip," I said, "how did I forget you? You've been sitting there for 2 whole days and you did not have one thing to eat." Philip nodded his head. "I know it," he said. "I would really like some cranberry jelly right now." I patted his softy head. "I know you would, Phil, but you can't have cranberry jelly, remember?" I said. "We tried that last Thanksgiving and you still have the cranberry stain on your mouth." Phil quick wiped his face. "Oh yeah, right," he said. He looked at the feast table again. "Is there anything I can eat over there?" I did a sigh. "I don't know, Phil," I said. "At home I just shove a peanut up your trunk, but no one brought nuts to the feast today." I pointed to the carrot sticks. "What about those, Phil? Would you like me to put a carrot up your trunk?" I asked. Phil shook his head no. "That would look gross," he said. I nodded. "Yes, you're right," I said. "That would look gross." I looked around. Then all of a sudden I spotted a brand new bag of Nipsey Doodles. They were sitting on Mr. Scarry's desk, and a Nipsey Doodle was just the right size for Phil. I quick opened the bag, and I put a doodle in his trunk. "Yum," said Philip. "This doodle is delicious. Thank you, Junie B. Thank you." Just then a voice shouted in my ear, "Hey, hold it! Those doodles don't belong to you, mister. You're under arrest." I quick spun around. The voice was coming from May, but she was pointing to Police Sergeant Chuck the elephant. She hurried to Mr. Scarry's desk and she quick picked him up, and then boom, out of nowhere, Chuck bopped Phil in the head with his trunk. "You stole a Nipsey Doodle, and stealing is against the law," he said. Then May tried to take the doodle right out of Philip's trunk, but Philip ducked around her. Everyone looked to see the commotion. Mr. Scarry frowned real big. Then May started to holler. "None of this is my fault," she said. "Peanut Butter and Johnny has a Nipsey Doodle in his trunk, and Junie B stole it for him." I stamped my foot. "No, I did not," I said. "Nipsey Doodles are part of our Thanksgiving feast, and feast food is for sharing." May stamped her foot too. "But that wasn't sharing food, Junie B. Jones. That was a brand new bag, and it belonged to Mr. Scarry." Then May tried to pull Phil away from me, but I pulled him back. Plus, Philip bopped Chuck on his head. Then all of us got ready to wrestle. Only before we could even get started, Mr. Scarry jumped in between us, and he stopped us from bopping each other. "Girls, girls," he said, "that's enough. Have you forgotten we have guests?" Me and May looked at our guests. May's mother was frowning at us. Mother and Grandma Miller were frowning again, too. I glanced at my Grandpa Frank Miller. He did a wink. That was refreshing. Mr. Scarry kept on talking. "I really don't understand what gets into you girls when you pick up those elephants," he said. "It is such a puzzle to me." Thought for a second. I did a little shrug. "I don't know why it's a puzzle," I said. "Me and May are just playing with our elephants, and elephants like to bop each other." May nodded her head. "Yes," she said, "that's what their trunks are for. Trunks are for bopping. That's how elephants play." I thought some more. Then I looked at May. "Yeah, only maybe Mr. Scarry doesn't know that, May," I said. "Maybe he doesn't have an elephant at home." May did a pause. "Oh, right," she said. "I never thought of that." She looked back at Mr. Scarry. "Well, anyway, that's how elephants play," she said. "And so Junie Jones and I automatically know that." I smiled. "Yes," I said, "we do." Then all of a sudden, blink, a light bulb went off in my head. I did a gasp. Mr. Scarry, you were right," I said. "Even though May and I are very different from each other, we both love elephants. So that is how come we were almost being friends just now. Because we have something in common, just like the Pilgrims and the Native Americans." May looked curious at me. "Yeah, but we're not really, really friends. Right, Junie Jones?" she said. "It was just this one time. Correct?" "Correct," I said back. "We can't be friends forever, May. That would be ridiculous. We don't even like each other." May got relief on her face. "Whew, okay, good," she said, "because I really like being different from you." "I know it, May. I like being different from you, too. Very different." May smiled. I smiled back. Then I tried to do a fist bump with her, but she did not see it coming. I accidentally hit her in the arm. "Ow!" she said. "Sorry," I said. May shrugged her shoulders, and she rubbed it off. After that, we both skipped to our seats with our elephants, and we hugged our elephants real tight. It was a lovely moment, I think. But all of a sudden, it got interrupted by shouting. I quick looked up. It was Sheldon and Uncle Vern and Grandma Ned Pot. "Happy Turkey Day! Happy Turkey Day!" they shouted real loud. They were holding hands in front of the room. They were doing 3 squeezes. All of the children stood up. We grinned from ear to ear. "Happy Turkey Day!" we shouted back. Mr. Scarry looked at room 1. His face got beamy and proud. He is thankful for us, I think. And I'm thankful for all these great books we have here, including lots of Junie B. Jones books. So come in and take some out, or you can call ahead to pick them up. Happy Thanksgiving from the Oosterhout Free Library, and I'll see you again soon on Book of Bites with a Christmas story.